Hey everybody, welcome to 2021. We're excited for some new things happening at Strong Tower, so some big things happening this year. Part of what we're going to do every month, along with our programming focus, you guys probably know, we've mentioned that as coaches we get together and we program every couple weeks. We lay out the next couple weeks and look at the programming. So we spend a lot of time on it. We believe that that's important so that you get the most out of your sessions with us, and also so that I can pass on things as I learn them to Dave and Corrine, and as they learn things they can share them, and we can just kind of collaborate and brainstorm as a team. So part of what we're doing in 2021 that's new though is we're going to share more of that education with you guys. And so I'm going to take some of the Z Health courses that I've gone through. Most of them have like a 200 slide PowerPoint. I'm going to condense that down to hopefully something more digestible, like 5 to 10, maybe 15 slides max. So we're sending that 10 slide, in this case, PowerPoint out for the R-Phase course. So you'll have that in your email, and I'm just going to talk you through it. So this video is meant to be educational and to go hand in hand with that PowerPoint. So rather than screen share it, I'm just going to have you pull it up, and I'll talk through like slide 1 all the way through slide 10, and just give you some key points on each slide. So slide 1, neurology simplified. So really functional neurology in general can be pretty complex. Our brains and our nervous systems are complex. There's a lot to learn on the neuroanatomy side, but to keep it really simple, we know that the nervous system does 3 things. So we want to understand these 3 things in the movement world because they impact on your results. The first thing is we receive inputs. Those would be called afferents. It's information coming into the brain. The second thing is processing. And so your brain is going to interpret or process what that information means to you. And that's based on education, it's based on experience, it's based on socialization. So a lot of things go into how we process or interpret all those inputs that are coming in on a daily basis. And then the last thing, and this is what we focus on in the motor or the movement world, is the output. So a lot of times that's a motor output in the movement setting. We want to get you a better movement result, but those are based again on the inputs, the sum of the inputs, and then how you're interpreting those inputs. So that's slide 1. Slide 2, is the brain more oriented towards survival or towards performance? And if you look at this slide, there's kind of a funny picture of the startle reflex. So people are at a baseball game, there's a bat flying at them, and they're like, oh my goodness, reflexively guarding their face, their vital organs, going into this flex posture. Dr. Cobb jokes that there's no cool reflexes. So if you're ever curious if you're wired more towards survival or performance, you just need to look at the startle reflex. It doesn't look graceful. It doesn't look like a ballet dancer doing this amazing move, right? So job number 1 of the brain is survival. Slide 3, we're talking a little bit more about outputs here. And so there's more survival or negative based outputs, and then there's more performance based outputs. And we saw that if we want to change the output, we need to change either the input or change how you're interpreting and processing those inputs. On the survival side of the outputs, we have negative stuff like pain, fatigue, dizziness, inflexibility, anxiety, migraines are in here, poor balance, immobility. And so those are the negative outputs. Then the performance-based or positive outputs, on the flip side, pain-free movement, great coordination, great balance, endocrine and immune health, strength and speed, all those good things that we want to see happen in the gym setting do happen, again, based on those 3 things in the basics of neurology. So that's why we want to share this with you. It impacts your results in the gym, and then actually a lot of you, things that you do outside the gym as well. So Z Health performance principles, this is slide 4, I believe. Make sure that I'm tracking, yeah, all right. Everyone is an athlete, principle number 1. Everything is a skill. The nervous system controls everything in the body, and then change happens at the speed of the nervous system, which is almost immediate. So the inputs coming in, like we're processing and receiving those things like on an ongoing basis, and then the outputs actually change within milliseconds sometimes. So the change that can happen in the nervous system is almost immediate, which is why sometimes we get crazy results in range of motion, balance, and you'll see those things change within a session. We don't believe that you have to train for 6 months for some goals. Like, you can actually see change a lot faster than that. Sticking with it, being consistent, going to that 6-month mark and then the 6-year mark and beyond, making this a lifestyle, definitely like the end goal and how we want to help you the most. But it is cool when you can see those fast results. And then the last piece here, the quality of your larger, more complex movements are built on smaller, more basic movements. So this is kind of like in learning English, you're going to learn to write letters first, then you're going to learn to write a sentence, then you're going to learn the whole paragraph. So if we can break down and make you better at the smaller movements or the letters, you're actually going to be able to integrate and put things together a lot better in the gym setting, fitness setting, wellness setting, in the studio basically. So number 5 here, minimum effective dose. So this ties hand in hand with like the concept of, if you think about a medication can have a certain amount where it's not therapeutic, it's not giving the benefit that we want, and then it can actually get to a point where if you overdose, obviously there's medications that can kill you, and they can also produce unwanted side effects sometimes as well. So when we apply that to exercise and movement, we can kind of conceptualize it the same way, where we want to give you enough. We don't want to not move enough. Obviously that's a problem for a lot of people. We want to get you in kind of the sweet spot where you're getting results, but we don't want to overdo either and overtrain, because that can also lead to some of the negative side effects where we're not maximizing what we're doing health-wise, if we're overdoing it or underdoing it in a sense. All right, so slide 7 I think we're on is the training rules. So number 1, don't move into pain. Number 2, if you have pain, slow the movement down. Sometimes that'll take care of it. Number 3, if there's still pain there, decrease the range of motion to avoid that painful range of motion for the time being. Doesn't mean forever, it just means for the time being. We want to train the brain to neuroplastically move without pain, so that you can really over time expand your movement box. Long spine position, good long body position. The 5th training rule, concentrate, so focus on what you're doing. Attention and focus are important for neuroplastic change. If you're just going through the motions, ho-hum, sometimes we're not going to change the brain as much as we'd like to. And then relax as much as possible. So only carry tension in the areas that need it to accomplish the movement task or the goal of the exercise. The next one, slide 8, this one is the picture of the brain and the body kind of mapped together, and mapped is a key word because that's what this is through neurology research, dissection, and actually like stimulating brain areas of people that are still alive too. We know that specific brain areas correlate to different body areas, and the interesting thing is the brain is topographically organized a lot like the body. So areas that are next to each other in the body are actually next to each other in the brain map too. And what this sort of brings home is we want to help you with the best, clearest map possible. We don't want smudged movement maps where you don't have a good brain-body connection. So when we say we're improving your brain-body connection with movement, or we're trying to give you a clear brain map, this is exactly what we're talking about. The next slide, the 5 elements of efficiency. So in Z Health, they talk about this efficient, almost effortless movement that like professional athletes will exemplify. And what that basically means is they're really good at relaxing the areas that don't need tension and then tensioning the areas that do. And sometimes because they're so energy efficient, they're going through these intense amounts of effort, but pro athletes often make it look effortless, or they make it look easy, and you've probably heard that said before. So what are the elements of efficiency with movement? Perfect form, so we want to practice with great form, whatever the exercise is. We want dynamic postural alignment, so that basically means is your joints are stacked on top of each other, so there's alignment in the posture. Synchronized respiration, so there's this match of respiration to the movement, And then balance, tension, relaxation, we've talked about a little bit, where we don't want to tense areas that aren't absolutely necessary to accomplish the movement goal. We want to relax those while tensing others that are important to accomplish the movement goal. And then rhythm. And there's a lot of different rhythms that we can get into with movement. Sometimes we can actually work on coupling or syncing the respiration rhythm with the movement rhythm. Can work with metronomes, a lot of different options there. And then the active versus the passive problem. So this Dr. E.L. Letterman, great quote in Neuromuscular Rehabilitation and Manual and Physical Therapy. So he basically, if you read the quote here, you can go through it on your own, says that active trumps passive. So active movement, because of how much of that you do in your daily life, is way more valuable and is going to create a very strong chance of long-term change in a positive way if we're moving well, and maybe not a positive way if we're not moving exceptionally well. But your brain pays way more attention because it closes the loop of input, decision, output. So when there's motor involvement on your part, your brain pays way more attention to that, and that's going to make positive or negative change sticky. It's going to make it last. If we're just doing passive modalities, there's great things about some passive modalities, but they're not going to create sometimes the level of change that we want. All right, and then the last slide, so actually it's slide 10 here, training speeds. So we're going to be working on this month. We go all the way from super slow, where we're taking like 30 seconds, maybe it's a wrist circle, taking 30 seconds up to 2 minutes to do that wrist circle. So super slow, right? And then you got standard, so then we're going up to 5 seconds per rep. And that's standard speed, a little bit slower than our typical tempo that you would see somebody doing in a big box gym, for example. And then coordinated, which is our kind of normal tempo, what a lot of people default to, honestly, and that's why we want to work on all four. And then sport speed, going super fast. So the reason that these speeds are important, not just novelty in positive neuroplastic brain change, that's one reason. The other reason is there's actually receptors in the body and areas in the brain that do not get activity unless you go at a certain speed. So like the SMA could activate when we're doing a faster speed. The pre-SMA or the pre-supplementary motor area will only activate when you're going at a really slow speed. So we don't want to leave areas underactive, and so because of that we want to train at multiple speeds. The other concept that goes hand in hand with training speeds is training loads. So when we do like elbow circles, wrist circles, shoulder circles, all the circles, figure eights, we want to load those in different ways. So it might be loading your respiratory system, making the breathing more challenging in a certain way. We might also just be like handing you a kettlebell or a barbell or a band and saying, here, let's go under load and then do the movement. Your brain's going to pay more attention. Typically we're going to get faster change with that. So guys, that closes out the R-Phase educational video. Hope you enjoyed it. You're going to each month get one of these educational snippets with 5 to 15 slides, and you'll get to keep those, and definitely share them with friends and family. So if you're nerding out a little bit on neurology, even a little bit, share it with somebody. Let them know, hey, I'm learning this really cool stuff about my brain and my body. And then of course they're welcome to come in, try a session with you if you'd like to invite them in. So that's what I got for January. Again, Happy New Year, and rock your training sessions this year.